come here with two identities. Hellenic Telecommunication Organization, the Greek PTT. I work there. I am the head of the Department for Wireless Access Networks, meaning WiMAX systems, pre-WiMAX systems all over Greece. And, but also I teach in social networks. The common work is networks. Okay, so I chose a topic which is closer to the second identity of mine. Okay, this is a fact that we are all connected. This network over here is not an IP network or anything. The nodes are people, and and actually there are people, there are fat people, and some doctors measure how this network grows. So how fat people persuade others to eat more. But this also, the same dynamics holds for market. Oh my goodness. For marketing studies, and this is my mobile phone. For marketing studies, because people persuade others to buy, let's say, a mobile phone. Okay? So there is a big thing these days, the past 10 years in social networks, how social networks grow, and so it is in a sense a study of dynamics of social networks, but also how people persuade each other. What is the type of the node? Oh my goodness, they're calling me from Greece or something? Yes. I'm sorry about that, guys. Well, anyway, so, okay, social networks, all right, let me say this. Social networks are networks of people, and we can study the dynamics of these networks, and we can study how people in these networks communicate with each other. And for this particular talk, the second thing is important, as you will see, because what I would like to say is how people buy a mobile phone. Well, this is, I chose a GSM, I started the studies from GSM subscribers. GSM is something that blew all over the world for, in 10 years or 15 years, half of the population of the universe, of the Earth had a mobile phone. So it is some sort of global phenomenon. It's not a local phenomenon, it's a global thing. And we should think as if people have something inside them to push them to communicate with each other. So searching for, researching GSM may find something for how people actually interact with each other. Well, okay, let's start how people buy the mobile phone. For example, this is the brown is Germany. Up to in 7 years, they went up to almost 50 million mobiles. Well, anyway, Denmark is a smaller country, so it had another curve. It seems like all the curves are different. So there is numerous, of course. There are numerous analyses in the literature. And I have counted at least 300, checking for various countries the determinants of mobile adoption. They found they studied individual needs and behaviors towards innovation. Other studies looked at socio-cultural attributes. Others, well, the income, whatever. The attitude towards, well, the market competition, if the market was active, etc., etc. So numerous things. But as I said, this is a global phenomenon. So is there any common thing in, any common feature in these curves? Well, if you plot them in log-log plots, they are straight lines. And they are also straight lines with more or less the same slope, around 2 or 3. So this means, of course. So for example, France and Austria, okay, Austria is below because it has a smaller population, so all the data are somehow have lower values, but they start from, here is 10 in the fourth, it is like 10,000 people, and 10 in the seventh is how many millions. So all these data fall more or less on straight lines. Italy, Finland, okay, United Kingdom up to, I don't know, 35 millions. So, but this is nice. If you have a few data points in the beginning, and you put them on a straight line, you extrapolate. I mean, if you know how the first 20,000 people bought the GSM, you could predict, in principle, if you knew this law, how the things would go up to 35 millions in the US, in the Great Britain. Okay. So there are common features. But then it's not in the GSM. I found the same thing in analog telephony, for example, Slovakia, Poland, you can see the data. Again, the slope is 2, Czechia, Bulgaria, whatever. All over Europe, all the data that I found, you have to be careful because you have to check a single analog telephony system as well as GSM. If you add all the mobile telephony networks, then of course you don't get straight lines because you add things. In log-log plots, if you add numbers, then... So, a power law, a straight line on a log-log plot means that the subscribers go as time in the exponent of 2 or 3, because the slope is 2 or 3. And as the data show, technology diffusion seems independent of state economy, political situation, culture, management, marketing, personal preferences, technical advancement, etc., etc. There are of course, there are differences between countries, but the slope of this line and the fact that it's a straight line is the same. So why is this? Well, if these two features do not depend on that, then it should depend on some human nature, on something which is always the same all over the world. Okay. Actually, the same happens in Japan, but I take the Japan in 3 transparencies to show you how things develop. Japan had an i-mode Docomo 2.5 data service. It lasted for about 40 months. Within 3 years, it went from 0 subscribers to 32 million subscribers. Okay? And it completed the whole sigmoid curve. It started slowly in the beginning, then it went accelerated, and then slowed down until it abandoned. Okay? So, if you look, for example, at this sigmoid curve, and you look at the literature, as well as other, you will find that most people try to explain it with logistic or batch model curves. These are typical models. Actually, the logistic curve is what we usually use in business cases. But both these models, I told you, I cannot hold this thing, all right? Both these models have this type of term. So the rate of increase of subscribers goes as n times difference of n star is the final number that is reachable on top. So at very low numbers, it least works start linearly. They do not follow a power law. Okay? These two models suggest that all users interact randomly. Clearly, this is not the case. Okay, if you plot the same data in log-log plots, the Docomo data, you find again a nice straight line that went up to 10 million people, and then it curved. From the first 10 in the 7th, how much 10? 10 in the 7th is 10 in the 10 million people. So, which means that if you had these 3 or 4 points, you could sort of extract a straight line, and you could find how the thing would go most of its lifetime. The logistic curve fails. The power law is like this. So the basic assumption of the logistic and the bus models that people sort of randomly interact with each other is false. This relationship shows that that people are persuaded to subscribe to a service proportional not to the total number of the existing subscribers, but the number in some power, which is almost half. So the square root of the number. So it's only a much smaller number of the total number of users that someone interacts and is persuaded to buy a phone, which means that people are connected with each other in a network, because a node is connected to several other nodes and not to everybody else. Okay, I have 2 more transparencies. This is to explain the straight line. Okay. Okay, we said that people do not decide randomly, but how does a network grow? Well, one can follow Yanni's approach and see how the networks develop, but there are also a couple of models on how people decide on anything. I use one of the 2 main theories. This is the theory of Alexei Vasquez. Actually, we decide to do something. One theory says that we decide to do something because we choose to do it. And the second theory says that we decide something when we remember and all the stimuli from the back accumulates, and then at some point we could not resist and we just buy the mobile. Okay? So the second theory is this. A person decides, he accumulates stimuli since the introduction of the mobile to the market. He learns that the thing is out. People, his friends, tell him that he probably should buy it. At the job, they press him to get a mobile. As time passes, he does a couple of things. He either ignores the stimuli, he forgets about it, or he sort of becomes more sensitive to it, he focuses and starts to think about it and continues to think about it and think about it. And at some point, he just cannot resist anymore. So the theory of Alexei Vasquez says that the probability that he becomes an adopter at time t depends recursively on all the past values of lambda times this alpha, times this factor. So the number is like this. The probability that becomes an adopter at time t is the mean value of previous lambdas times alpha, and then you get the expression. You can solve this analytically, and at small values you get the power law. So if you plot the whole sigmoid curve, if you try to fit it in this Weibull curve, this is a Weibull curve actually, it has a name, you find this strange axis here, but if you plot the same data in this axis, you get a straight line. And this is the data, the squares are the data from Gai mode. And just to compare, these triangles are the data from an analog network in Hungary. Okay. By the time that the Japanese were going at 2.5, in Hungary, they were over there finishing up with the 1G system that they had. Yet, both of them are straight lines with the same slope. Conclusions. Well, for the first time, okay, these are typical things for a talk. For the first time, we observed some universal power growth on telecommunication services on national markets. And this challenges past analysis, all right. But most importantly, we have novel theoretical models on network dynamics and human dynamics that may provide new tools to get more appropriate forecast of the penetration of telecommunication services, and also generalized analysis to other things, not only how people buy technology, but also how they respond towards a PTT initiative, for example, an advertisement, a rumor, a presidential candidate, etc. It's a more big thing, a bigger thing. Okay, thank you.